Hey, what's happening, man? It's King Penny, man. We're here at Longmont Public Media and Longmont 457 4th Avenue. You know what I mean? If you need some creative stuff done, man, hey, come check them out. Hey, got a special guest with me today. I know you guys seen him on season one of King Penny's podcast, but we're just here having a conversation, man. Doc Larabee, he was ramping up for the world competition, man, and had a slight setback. And, the whole idea of my podcast, the whole idea of talking to people, man, is get motivation, see where their head is, see where their mental space is, and also too to help others who might be in the same situation get through that. So I want to bring him in here today, man, to talk about what he has going on and where he's at right now, man. So thank you for coming, taking the time to sit down.
So it all started about 4 or 5 weeks ago now. Went out dirt jumping with the kids over at Belmont, got done, everything felt absolutely good. Next morning, woke up, had a little bit of trap tightness, which I've got a fusion in 5.6 that we talked about, or 6.7 that we talked about before. And so thought it was probably just a little bit of that. And then by Sunday morning, I couldn't extend my fingers all the way. And so we started chasing it a little bit. And at some point, probably 1 week in, 2 weeks in, right, realized that there was going to be some surgical intervention, whether it was either at the cervical level or the forearm level. And because what we've kind of figured out is I've got something called posterior interosseous nerve entrapment syndrome, which is kind of a fancy way of saying one of the communication wires came down here, and where it goes through a muscle, it got pinched. And so now that's not allowing me to use my fingers, right? So, so the surgery is one thing, then not going to world is a whole nother.
Well, so you're a world-class cyclist, you know what I mean? Just for the people who didn't see, right. You know what I mean? Like, who qualified for this and stuff like that. And you not being able to close your hand is a huge setback. Right?
Absolutely. So again, what I do on a bike kind of is like doing a trap bar deadlift in the gym, right? So I'm going full blast for about 250 meters. And so literally if my grip strength fails, then you crash if you're not careful.
Okay. And so when that initial, because you've been training for a whole year.
Yes.
For
absolutely.
this event, and now
it's gone.
Now it's going. Like, where are you at mentally?
There were 2 or 3 days there where it was you kind of go through that grieving process and why me, and I've had numerous other injuries and where's this going, and it kind of also then comes back to what's next. And the kind of cool part, honestly, is I met a gentleman, which you and I haven't talked about this. I met a gentleman by the name of Chris Weigand a few weeks ago who runs an adaptive athlete program. He was in some conflict over across the world and now helps about 30 or 40,000 other injured veterans and other people that aren't veterans, right? And I watched a lot of them, and so it kind of, I guess I went through a period of growth in 2 or 3 days where I kind of refocused a little bit, because I was like, there's more to life than just competing. At the same time, you and I have talked about, we both like to set goals because our workouts are better, more stringent, harder, more disciplined in a sense if we have a goal. So that part gets a little bit tough as well.
How was it like? Because, initially, like when I saw you and you told me about it, I think my reaction was, oh no, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of, but you were like, hey, look here, I've already, you know what I mean?
I've already done that.
Hey, you know what I mean? Like, so how has people's reaction been to it, or how has,
what's crazy, and this probably goes for you as well. I tend to run with some people who, compete with me, same level, and we've all had stuff. And nobody wants to see it, but to say that it's abnormal for my age group to have injuries that might set you back a year, I mean, in reality, it's pretty common. The bad part is when it comes literally, we were getting ready to buy tickets within a week of when this all happened. We were waiting for airfare. You always wait to kind of make sure there's not any major incidents that happen. Or this year, even with the COVID, coming up a little bit again, right? Are they going to cancel the thing or whatever? And so it's not like losing somebody, right? It's not grieving like that, but there is a grieving process that goes through it.
So you get support from the team, right?
Absolutely, support from my team,
family,
and my family. My wife is absolutely awesome.
No, that's super cool. Yeah. How is it though, being around the guys still?
Oh, it's tough, right?
You know what I mean? Like kind of being in the locker room and these guys are, getting ready. And
I just had a friend yesterday who set a world record, right? And there's been some talk of me being on that trip. And that had kind of gone away about 6 months ago just because some other personal things that were going on. But to watch him set a world record, right? And you're like, even if I would have been truly engaged in that day, it would have gotten cut short. So there's part of it that you go, timing was probably good with it. There's another part that's like, congratulations, Carl, right? He did an awesome job yesterday, set a world record in a 2K down in Aguas Caliente, Mexico.
Yeah.
And then there's another part, right, that is like, where's this going? I mean, I asked my surgeon straight up yesterday, basically, are you good at this? And am I going to come out better than I am right now? Right? I don't expect to be better than I was 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right? And there was probably some deficits there because with nerve stuff, it's not usually, unless it's a blown disc, it's not usually that it just came on, right? There's usually a little bit of preceding to that, and she's like, yes, I'm good at this. Yes, I believe you're going to make a full recovery, right? But who asks the surgeon if they're good at what they do? That's kind of that headspace that you get into a little bit.
It's still competitive. I mean, how long am I going to be down for? You
right.
Definite or timeline so
absolutely.
You can reset and retool.
So there's two different scenarios. So we're fixing the posterior interosseous thing, and then we've also got some ulnar nerve entrapment through my elbow that we're going to go and take care of.
So the surgery, but it got bumped up to today.
It's today. It's this afternoon. Yeah. I'm sitting here. I feel like I'm on sloth mode because I've had no food, no coffee.
Hey, that's what you say. No drink. I said, hey, look here, I'm dehydrated. Look, I just did yoga this morning. Hey, we're drinking everything.
Right.
It's like
right, exactly.
Right now.
But, But it's just that getting through these phases and moving forward. And if everything goes right, and when they release this ulnar nerve, if it wants to stay in that groove, then 4 to 6 weeks, I'll be going full blast again. If we have to, there's this thing where they have to transpose this nerve. So it literally will start popping out a little bit, and they'll actually pull it up and put it over in the middle of your forearm. And then you have to wait for like 6 weeks for it to find this nice resting home place, kind of, before they want you doing anything. So even last night after I talked to the doc, told my wife, man, I really hope they don't have to move that nerve because 6 weeks of not doing anything, 5-pound lifting restriction.
Yeah. It's going to make for a strong right arm.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Right? For a strong right arm.
Right? Well, the good thing is I already have crazy look and you go, okay, this is going to happen. I've already got 2 bikes set up on the trainers in the basement, right?
Yeah.
All I got to do is get on them and pedal. I don't have to grip. I don't have to anything else, right? So I can still be doing some cardio, be doing a little bit of strength work. I've got
but you still are at the track training other
people.
people.
Absolutely, yeah. So I
still test people too.
Yep, I've still had 5 or 6 sessions since this all kind of came around.
Yeah.
And it like you're kind of hinting to, it's unique because you literally want to engage with those people and be like, yes, go get this, right? And realizing they're doing their finishing touches on this prep, and it's like at the same time it kind of hits you in the heart just a little bit because you were supposed to be there doing the same thing. Yeah. So.
So overall.
Yeah.
Feelings like just putting in a year worth of work.
I would have done the work anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been in the gym anyway.
Yeah.
I would have been on the bike even after I found this out. First, I've got a neurosurgeon who's looking at my cervical spine because there's a couple segments in there that are not good, but because of some of the symptoms I was having, he's like, I don't truly believe this is your cervical spine. Let's check out the forearm, and the cool thing about neurosurgeons is they tend to be right there, just dialed in. They're the nerds of some of the, brain surgeons and all that, right? So it's cool. The part that's kind of a kicker a little bit is they don't know my world, right? So I say, hey, is it okay for me to ride? Is it okay for me to train? And they're no, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't do drugs, I don't do alcohol, my outlet, right, is doing all this other stuff. So then it's coming to an agreement with them a little bit of, I'm going to go out and do what I would consider an easy ride. I won't be doing anything crazy, but I've got to do something.
Yeah. So any suggestions for, or advice for anyone that is in the same situation or that is very competitive,
right,
or even leisure?
Absolutely. Well, because everybody has things they want to do.
How can you pull yourself? How can you stand out? What's the best?
So, I think everybody's going to go through that 2 or 3 days of grieving a little bit, and it's probably going to seep back in over time here and there, right? Just like if you have somebody who passes. You get through it, you go to the funeral, you do all that other stuff, and then you think, okay, I'm past this, I'm back to work, things are going well, and you open up a photo album or something, right? And it's there. And so this isn't much different than that, right? Because it's still, okay, I feel like I'm moving forward, and then it's, what happens in the surgery if all of a sudden I can't close my hand? Right? Which probably won't happen. Right? But anytime you go to surgery, right? And so a big part of it is what do I want to do? I was watching, there's a gentleman by the name of Robin Sharma who has writes books about monks because he was a monk. He sold his Ferrari and then became a monk at some point. And now he writes a bunch of books, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. And read something from him the other day. 50 things you want to do before you die. You know, and so when I start thinking about that, I go, wow, there's a lot of things I want to do with racing, but racing's not all of me. I train other people. I train. I've got a family. We go to Disney World, right? So there's all these other things in life as well. And yeah, absolutely. One of those things on my list is to go attempt a world record. One of those things on my list is to be in Roubaix, France next year for Worlds. Right? Well, that hold true? It depends. Do they have to move it to the middle? Do they leave it on the outside? How much gets cleared up, right? But for me, I have to keep looking forward.
If it doesn't happen.
If it doesn't happen, then
we're like, would you be not okay?
Right.
Would you find sort of peace with what you've already accomplished?
Absolutely.
Like, because sometimes fighters don't know when to win.
Right.
Let's be clear. You know what I mean? As competitive as you are, you probably don't. Nobody wants to think about the end.
Right. And I mean, I guess the cool part about being a masters athlete, right? Is you're competing against all these other people that are beat up as well.
Yeah.
In general, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm a fighter who's 34, almost masters, right, fighting a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. So we all have a little bit of our stuff. But if somebody walked in and said, "Hey, we did this surgery, and chances are you're not going to race at that level anymore," then I have to figure out how to still be involved in the sport that I love, or another sport. Right. Again, I met Chris Wigan, and Chris is awesome. And what can I do for his foundation and his people? He's having a big ride down at Chatfield on September 30th. Again, me not thinking, because this guy literally got blown up, right? His whole pelvis is fused and other things, right? And I'm like, well, if I'm feeling pretty recovered, I'll come down and do a couple of laps with you. And he's like, come on, you'll be recovered.
No,
right?
okay.
You can pedal.
Well, I guess it's who you surround yourself with,
right? And that's
what you're taking in,
right?
And I didn't mean for this to be negative.
Oh no,
I just have questions just as because I think too, like right now I was talking to, I did an interview like a few weeks ago, and I was telling this guy like, time is catching up to me slowly.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my body doesn't recover the same. Even though my mind is still saying that.
I think I'm 18.
You're him. You're him.
Yeah.
But I can notice like a couple things lingering, a couple things like, like a couple little things like, or say for instance, you bump into like a table or something like that. Before, hey man, table move.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I thought it was Superman. Right. Now, like I hit the table, like, oh my goodness, what is this? It's like, you know what I mean?
I don't remember if we talked about this in our first podcast that we did, but my dad passed away about a year and a month ago or something like that. And then I went to Worlds right after that because I wasn't sure if I was going to go to Worlds because of his passing. And then got called up and ended up going. And when you look at my family history, not many of the men live past my age.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I look at myself and I go, about 20, 25 years left. What do I want to get done? And I told the surgeon that too, because the surgeon was like, well, we can put you in an elbow brace for a bit and then a wrist brace. And I'm like, come on, doc, we both know there's a good chance that those symptoms are going to go away to a certain degree. And then we both know that probably 3 to 4 weeks after that, I'm going to be doing something really heavy and hard again, and it's going to come back. That's just statistically speaking, right? If you tell me don't do any of that stuff anymore, then it'll probably stay away, but that's not my life. And I told her, I said, so I appreciate you offering me the braces and stuff, but my reality is that there's some things I want to get done in life. So we have to keep moving forward.
No, definitely, man. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to sit
absolutely.
down and talk to me, man, and follow up and stuff like that. Like I said, my whole goal is just to, mentally push people through barriers or something like that, or something that they may be going through, just hearing how you are, forging ahead from a high level of competition, you know what I mean? Because we all aren't on the world stage, but you know what I mean? Like but I mean, if you could see somebody pushing through up here, you know what I mean? It gives you like, oh, okay. Right. Especially like, like 1 year of training.
Right.
Like it's a quite a bit of time, compared to like other people who train maybe 3 months, 4 months, and you know what I mean, like, or even Olympians maybe like like where they train for like 3 years, 4 years, and then they get, and then something may come up around the world or something, like you said, COVID came up at one time, or what I mean, like but you've been training,
right? Oh yeah, and it doesn't change.
And so what do you do? And,
You know, so there was a movie that I watched years ago, and it's failing. I'm like I said, I'm in sloth mode this morning, right? It's
Yeah.
not coming to my mind. But it was about this ski jumper, and there was this kid over in Great Britain who decided he wanted to go to the Olympics, and he kept trying all these different sports, and he finally got into ski jumping. Well, Great Britain's never had big ski jumping,
Yeah.
right? And so anyway, he ends up going to this like pre-Olympic or whatever, and he rides up the lift with this guy who's number one in the world.
Yeah.
And something that still every time the guy that's number one in the world says, you know, there's all those other people. He says, but the reality is you and I are closer than the rest of those people. And of course, the other athlete looked kind of dumbfounded. He said, so let's say I'm on top of the world. So I'm almost at 12 o'clock on a clock. He said, you're just starting. He said, we really aren't that much different. There's all sorts of skills that you're getting. There's all sorts of new things. He says, and I'm over here trying to figure out, what do I have left? Where am I going with all of this? You know, so in human nature, there's just all these places that we're trying to go and these things that we're trying to do. And honestly, the cool part about you and me and some of the other people that we hang out with is we all have these great big goals that we want to go after, right? I think which kind of drives you.
Yeah.
The hard part is the people that don't have a lot of drive, don't have a lot of goals, right?
Yeah.
You know, my boss the other day looked at me and she says, well, what do you expect when you're a hardcore psychopath? And I'm like, should I say thank you for that, right?
Yeah.
She's like, but you know, you go after what you want, and in doing so, you know that there's a risk.
No, man, but it's great that you have the support that you needed. And, you know what I mean? Everything kind of worked itself out.
Yeah. I'm in a good place with it. I'm still this, you know, going under the knife this afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, is always
I
scary.
mean, it's all part of the, you know what I mean, the whole
Right.
situation. But I mean, but you're the way you're pulling through, especially mentally.
Right.
You know, next step is physical, and you know what I mean. Like I said, it's just different stages.
That's it.
But the way you're working through it, man, is amazing. Like I said, my reaction was kind of, I apologize for that.
Yeah,
My
no.
initial like, you know what I mean. Like I know that wasn't, you know what I mean, the best. And so,
Well, but realize, I mean, if you've ever had an injury, right?
yeah,
That's the first gut instinct, right? So this literally happened. My wife was out of town. She came back on a Saturday night. I drove down to get her. Everything was fine. Sunday morning, moved to go to get coffee. I go to turn the steering like this and can't get my fingers out of the way. I didn't tell her for 3 days. So there was 3 days that it was in there doing, damn, what's going on?
yeah,
That I just didn't share,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if you don't share it, is it really real?
It's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I had a situation like a month ago, like where I was like, I had something up in my leg,
Right.
and I kind of just limped,
Just-
not slowly limped around, but not like it wasn't like
Right.
a big limp, but it was really hurting me a lot
Right.
and stuff like that, and I didn't
Yeah.
tell any.
Yeah, so I took no offense to when you gave me that reaction because
Yeah.
believe me, my first reaction was right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But no, like I said, man, we'll let you get out of here. Sure. Good luck today
Thank you.
and stuff like that. And like I said, sorry about taking in all the fluids.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Stuff like that, man. And good luck moving forward.
Thank you.
And you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we want to have you back in here after
Awesome.
you healed up and
Yep.
stuff like that. And
We'll check
just-
back in.
Yeah,
What's going
man,
on?
like see where you're at. Yeah. And see, you know what I mean?
We'll
Next
post
step.
it on social media and everything.
Hey, for sure. Like I said, I appreciate you, man.
Yep.
Hey, I'm King Penny, man. Doc Larabee here, man. We're cheering for him still, man, and wishing him luck in surgery. And anybody out there struggling or anybody who got something that they pushing through, man, it can be done. You know what I mean? The main thing is how you attack it, how you attack your day, and your support around you. So if you are support for somebody going through it, hey, man, pick them up. Don't take my approach and just be in just panic mode. It'll be all right, man. People will get through it and let them go ahead and work through their process. But just keep them positive, keep them moving forward. Like I said, thank you again for your time, man. Hey, appreciate you. And everybody out there, man, thank you guys for tapping in, man. Hey, Longmont, you have a great day, man. King Penny, we're out.